Yes, my friends, the Democrats are freaking out. They're freaking out that the Republicans will dominate the 2022 and 2024 elections. In this video, we're going to take a look at what leftists are freaking out about with regard to the upcoming elections. We're going to examine the tactics that they claim Republicans are using to dominate elections for the foreseeable future. And stick with me to the very end of this video, where I'll reveal why the Democrats are more right than they ever imagined. You're not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Stevie with you. Great to be with you. As always, we are your daily fake news antidote. As each and every day, we provide patriotic analysis to help you to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and turbulent times. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do now. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Before we dive in here, make sure to click on that link below and head on over to my special website for my PATRIOT food supply. As we saw with this whole pandemic insanity, we cannot wait for emergency to happen before we respond to one. And no one makes preparing for an emergency more ridiculously easy and affordable than our friends over at My PATRIOT Supply. Gang, they're simply the best. Their food kits last up to 25 years in storage. They include breakfasts, lunches, dinners, and if you act right now, you're going to save 25% off a full 4-week emergency food supply when you click on the link below to my special website. So do not wait. I got my food supply. Make sure you get yours. Click on that link below or go to preparewithsteve.com. Save 25% off your very own 4-week emergency food supply today. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. Now, if you're a regular to this channel, you know that one of our major themes is hope for patriots across the country and across the world. So one of the things that I try to bring to you on a regular basis is a behind-the-scenes look at what leftists are really saying. You know, when the CNN cameras are off, when the fabricated confidence of leftism's inevitability is put back on the shelf for the night, what do leftists say amongst themselves? It's very, very different than what we hear on the cameras when the cameras are on, right? They're panicked. They are genuinely panicked. They really believe that Republicans are slowly but surely taking over the entire nation. In other words, they believe about us what so many of us believe about them. Look at these articles from the leftist site Salon. Welcome to Republicanistan, the GOP's Jim Crow pseudo-democracy. And the byline reads, Republicans have a plan. Create an authoritarian state where voting is strictly controlled. It might work. Or this one, Birth of a Nation. Jim Crow Republicans seek to repeat America's dark history. And again, the byline reads here, Republicans are pushing America backward to the racist fantasies of the past. Are Democrats ready to fight? Or this one, Historian wonders, is Joe Biden just a speed bump on the fascist march to power? Now, leaving aside all the ridiculous Jim Crow and fascist hyperbole, these articles are all saying the same thing. The new Trumpian Republican Party is slowly but surely taking over the nation. And my favorite article in all this, shall we call it a leftist panic genre, is this one. Biden's bipartisan infrastructure bill is already on the fast track to becoming a Pyrrhic victory, with the byline, how Democrats' bipartisan win on infrastructure clears the path for Trump to steal the 2024 election. Now, again, this is a fascinating window into how leftists are talking to each other about the state of affairs in our nation and how panicked they are that the Republicans are going to take over in 2022 and that Trump really is going to win in 2024. In this article in particular, the writer excoriates the media for missing the real story behind the latest infrastructure bill. She points out that the media's celebration of this feigned bipartisanship is all too surreal because the whole irony here is that as the media naively celebrates bipartisanship, Republicans behind the scenes are actively taking over the entire nation. Quote, the whole thing is surreal, and not just because it comes the very day after grim hearings in the House about the January 6th insurrection incited by Donald Trump, a man who those GOP leaders Biden is so keen on working with continue to support. It's that it's all happening against a backdrop of impending doom for not just the Democratic Party's future, but for democracy itself. Republicans in state legislatures continue to quietly line things up so that Donald Trump can steal the 2024 election from Biden through a combination of voter suppression, gerrymandering, and changing election laws so that Republicans can simply void out election results they don't like. Meanwhile, Senate Democrats are standing by and letting it all happen. You smell that, gang? That's called Democrat fear.
That's good.
Yeah, it smells quite good. Now, of course, when they're talking about voter suppression, they're talking about the tsunami of election integrity reforms that are being passed across the nation. You will definitely want to check out my video on Democrats panicking over what they see as a turnout catastrophe in the making as a result of these GOP-led voting laws that are being successfully passed in state after state. For example, just the single provision of significantly cutting the number of ballot drop boxes that were used so effectively by Democrats in the 2020 election is devastating to Democrats. Democrat operatives are recognizing that that one measure alone could affect hundreds of thousands of votes benefiting them. And that's precisely the sentiment, indeed the fear, that's going around among all Democrat operatives across the country. Wherever voting integrity reforms have been passed, they're shot. Politico interviewed 36 Democrat elected officials, party operatives, and so-called voting rights activists across the nation. They found that they were all utterly panicked about the catastrophic impact GOP-led voter integrity laws will have on their ability to win elections. So this Salon piece is simply echoing that very real fear among leftists. And then, of course, you've got the whole concern over Republican gerrymandering that's going on as we speak. What they're talking about there is how Republicans are busy redistricting the nation's congressional districts in such a way that the Democrats simply cannot compete with. Remember, the Republicans dominated the state legislatures in the 2020 election, and that means that they can redraw congressional districts all over the map in such a way that they may actually be poised to dominate the House for the next decade. And this is because the GOP is now in complete control of state houses and governorships that will end up redrawing maps for 188 congressional districts. That's 50% of all districts in the nation. So Republicans already have control over a number of districts outside that 50%. So that means that Republicans will now control the vast majority of congressional districts, which means the Democrats may have no chance to compete in House races for the foreseeable future. Again, the left is openly panicked over this. And then, on top of all that, Democrats are starting to panic that this newfound power that the Republicans are amassing will be used to overturn election results that they don't like. Again, make sure to watch my video on how leftists are admitting that the Arizona audit is working as intended. And one of the things they're so concerned about is that the Arizona audit is effectively sowing doubt and confusion about the election results, creating a pretext for Republican election officials and judges to simply vacate any election results they don't like. In other words, if the Republicans take over Congress in the 2022 midterms, which looks increasingly likely that they will, and if Trump doesn't win 2024 outright, then all they have to do is draw on all the doubt and confusion and obfuscation that Republican auditors have sowed to call into question the results of the 2024 election and nullify the results they don't like.
Nice. Oh, so this is how it is in La La Land, huh? No.
I know, it does seem quite the stretch, but again, this is how leftists are talking amongst themselves. They really are panicked that they've lost control of the narrative and that the Republicans are convincing more and more people that the integrity of the 2020 election was indeed compromised and that serves as the pretext for their nullifying any election results they don't like. So, gang, this is all just simply a sampling of how the left really is panicking as of today. You would think that they'd be celebrating Biden and Pelosi and Schumer, when in reality they recognize that the real political power is amassing with the new Trumpian Republican Party. And they simply could not be more horrified at the political prospects that they're seeing from that. And they simply could not be more right. The new Trumpist Republican Party, the grand old Patriot Party, is taking over. But not because of voter suppression and the like. They're taking over because a new world is rising. The age of leftist liberalism is coming to an end. And all over the world, we're seeing more and more populations returning to nation, culture, custom, and tradition as the basis for a flourishing social order for the foreseeable future. The Nationalist Populist Republican Party is simply the organic outgrowth of this massive political paradigm shift, a paradigm shift that's caught the Democrats completely unprepared and totally flat-footed. Their agenda is collapsing at virtually every level, from parents rising up against CRT, to voters horrified by the crisis at the border, from concerns over the highest levels of inflation in decades, to a massive backlash against renewed mask mandates. The days of the Democrats are coming to an end, and they have no one in the world to blame but themselves. Now, before we go, you will definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on precisely that massive backlash against Pelosi and the CDC's mask mandate flip-flop. You're going to absolutely love it. So make sure to click on the link, and I'll see you over there. God bless. La La Land.